Further debate. I recognize the member from Mississauga, Harinder.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker. And I want to welcome the members of the Sikh community who are here today as well to watch this debate. Madam Speaker, the diversity of our people is one of the strengths of our province. Ontario is proud and privileged to have a vibrant Sikh community that has contributed immensely, and so many members have pointed that out, to the economic and social fabric of our society. The core principles observed in Sikhism include honest living, hard work, and service to others. It's not a stretch of the imagination to say that these are the principles which resonate with most of Ontarians. The Sikh community has been an important part of growth and success of our country. Sikhs worked hard in logging, forestry, they helped to build the railway, and even fought on behalf of Canada in the First World War. We are debating a motion presented by a member from Brampton Springdale that deals with justice, human rights, fairness. It is far too often that a person turns on the news or opens a newspaper and is confronted by the reality of criminal violence around the world. This sort of criminal violence, hatred, hostility, and intolerance must be denounced in all of its forms and all around the world. Madam Speaker, the horrific stories which have been shared in this House, and we have heard this last June as well, those stories are true. I have discussed some of them in the legislature back in 2016 in June. Innocent people, for no fault of their own, were killed. Mothers witnessed their young sons, so full of promise, being murdered. Wives saw their husbands dragged out of their homes and murdered right in front of them. Young children watched as their parents were killed right before their eyes. Parents watched hopelessly as their daughters were raped. The homes they had lived in, the shops and the business which they built to have a new start were ransacked and burned down to the ground. Madam Speaker, many movies and documentaries about the events in 1984 exist. They tell stories after stories of the kindness of human beings. While the carnage reigned, many individuals put their own lives at risk to protect their friends and neighbors who practiced a different faith. So the people who supported the others, they were not from the same faith. These people showcased the good nature in humanity by providing food and shelter and saving the lives of some of those people being targeted. Madam Speaker, I salute their moral efforts. I salute their kindness and the courage it took to stand against the hostility of the mob mentality and to allow compassion to serve their fellow human beings. Madam Speaker, however, these horrific events cannot be denied. In 2005, former Prime Minister of India, Mr. Manmohan Singh, offered an apology for the events of 1984. He said the following, and I'm just quoting him. He said, "I have no question, no hesitation in apologizing to the Sikh community. I apologize not only to the Sikh community, but to the whole Indian nation, because what took place in 1984 is the negation of the concept of nationhood enshrined in our Constitution. On behalf of our government, on behalf of the entire people of this country, I bow my head in shame that such a thing took place." And this is what the Prime Minister of India said. In 2013, former President Obama responded to an online petition campaign that had generated over 30,000 signatures and noted that grave human rights violations had occurred and continued on to say, and I quote him, "We continue to condemn and, more importantly, to work against violence directed at people based on their religious affiliations," and unquote. Madam Speaker, after 32 years, families of the victims have been asking for justice to be brought to those responsible for the events of 1984. Widowed have had to raise their children without any relief or support. Young women have been exploited and extorted by some criminal elements in the society. This is indeed very shameful. For some victims and their families, the wounds caused by the events of 1984 may have healed over time. For many others, whose wounds are still open to this day, my words in this House today are really empty words, and they offer no relief to those families unless justice is served. But as the Prime Minister of India, the former Prime Minister of India, Prime Minister of India, Sardar Manmohan Singh said, and I quote, "We cannot rewrite the past, but as human beings, we have the willpower and have the ability to write a better future for all of us," and unquote. Madam Speaker, as I understand, the new government of the day has constituted a special investigation team to investigate serious criminal cases. And the Supreme Court of India is monitoring those investigations. The Supreme Court is now led by a world-renowned Sikh jurist and has the ability to write a better future and ensure that justice prevails. Madam Speaker, our objective as legislators is to ensure that we leave behind a just society that values human rights. We must strive to bring communities together and help build stronger, fair, and cohesive communities where we can live with peace and harmony. Canada is a peace-loving nation, and we all are very proud to call Canada our home. And I look forward to a very meaningful and constructive debate in this House. Thank you, Madam Speaker.